Two very monumental names as far as esports and Counter-Strike are concerned go head-to-head yet again. NiP versus Na'Vi. However, they don't have much recent history between these two. NiP winning the last 2 games in the ESL Pro League, of course, online. And the last meeting on LAN between these two, you have to go all the way back to DreamHack Malmo last September. So what do we know about that? Not an awful lot as far as this man's concerned, but luckily alongside me are 2 experts. We have Sean Garris and, of course, Thorin to tell us why this is going to be a close game.
Well, first of all, map pool very favourable for both teams. Like the maps they actually want to play, the maps most likely they're going to pick for each other. So that can always provide the battleground for a fantastic game because it means even if you lose your map pick, you've got a chance on the other one. So hopefully better play actually wins out in that sense. Then you've got to add in, NiP has the new player, so that changes the dynamic from the last times they've matched up. Na'Vi, okay, yes, they're more of a known quantity, but they've got the best player in the world, so...
Yeah, exactly. And
that helps.
Yeah, like Duncan said, I mean, Na'Vi has Simple going for them. NiP getting rid of Draken is a little bit weird for them right now. He was their star player for so long. But with that being said, you know, their focus has been on these close-range battle maps like Overpass, where you don't really need an op all the time. But, I mean, I guess Dennis has done a pretty good job so far. Unfortunately, they would have to pick into a strength of Na'Vi by picking Overpass. So even though they're 7-0 in their last 7 games since Marseille, Navi's 5-1, so they're no slouches on Overpass.
Yeah, and you rightly pointed out as well, very close map pools. The last 5 games between these two teams have included Inferno, Overpass, Mirage, Nuke, and Train in that order, like going back all the way to to playing in DreamHack Malmo last year.
And as you see here, so NiP bans Nuke.
Yep.
Not like Na'Vi was going to pick it, but
Shockingly,
they can definitely play
actually, Navi's really good on Nuke now. They're going to be one of the best teams in the world. They took Mousesports out twice in a row now.
But this is the thing. The 2 maps that Na'Vi did want to play were always going to be out of the equation. The question is what the 3rd map will be here.
Whether it's Dust 2 or not.
I could absolutely see a world right now. I mean, it's Na'Vi's pick, so it probably should be Inferno, but they've gone for Train instead. So that's actually a very bold move there. Because
and they've done that 2 series in a row, go for the Train. Train is the 3rd map, so maybe they've been working on something here.
What I wonder about as well is, remember, Inferno was the map that they started the day with that really, quite poor performance against Envious where it went to overtime. So sometimes you just think to yourself, if they were watching that game, maybe we spin it to Train instead. We don't want to give them a map. They just watched us on where we didn't have time to prep for them because obviously NiP's just come straight out of their series. So, yeah, it's a tough one overall.
Yeah, and I think in the last 2 tournaments, we've seen a lot of teams pick Inferno into Na'Vi, and I think that shows that they're likely a little bit weak on it right now in practice.
Yes, it's usually scrims, that means,
Yeah, so I think they probably know they have weaknesses on the map, more so than we do on the desk. And that's probably why they opt for Train, which they probably have a lot of new cool shots.
One thing I'm definitely interested to see is, as we've mentioned already, this is not an NiP team that's going to have a primary AWP. They're just going to swap it around. And in fact, some maps, they might not use it. But Train is a map where not only can you AWP, it is usually pivotal. And it's, in fact, even a double AWP map on CT side. So we know on Na'Vi's side of things, they will let Flamey take the secondary AWP sometimes. They absolutely can play that double AWP style. On the NiP side of things, I want to see if they run 5 rifle on this one, because it can be a tough map to use 5 rifles on.
Yeah, it is not the Train in that picture, actually, either. So it'll be a
That's
way...
the old one,
Yeah.
That is the original version, I think. Yeah, where you could just run out and plant there.
That is a very old version, actually, looking at that. I haven't seen that version in a while. However, it will be the 3rd and final map, should we use it. Good news for NiP, of course, is they've just played these 2 maps.
Yeah.
Did we see anything, Sean?
You could say they played them,
Well, they joined the server to see them.
They walked up on them.
Yeah. Did we see anything from them in that Mirage game that you were kind of like, oh, that's new or slightly different? I mean, is it too hard?
It was hard to tell because we were watching, the stream live from the thing. We weren't in good TV, but I swear I saw a grenade trajectory come from the B bomb side on CT side where they smoked bottom connector, which would be something new because they opened up the skyboxes, so that's possible. And I started to think that's actually a really good, innovative idea for Mirage because smoking bottom connectors stalls out mid hits, and you basically could potentially keep smoking the bottom of the connector now on the map. So if they do that, Na'Vi might run into a brick wall here.
The only thing is, though, NiP, especially in this modern era where threat is long gone as the coach, they don't have a proper in-game leader in terms of the traditional style, you get the feeling Dennis wants to play more of that loose, old, fanatic contact style. It's not really as much of a utility team, but I do feel like in the future, Na'Vi is a team that the really heavy utility squads and the really tactical teams could actually do a lot on a map like this against, because famously some of their success on this map on CT side has been getting Simple to rotate to cover Zeus's spots, that you can't just isolate Zeus and kill him every time on CT. So if you can throw some of these smokes where you make it look like you're going to one site when you're already at the other one, I could see a lot of possibility to draw Simple away, catch him out. there's so many new angles you can kind of take in that sense that didn't exist before, because if you see 3 smokes coming over onto A, you know they're going to have to become an A.
And that was something we saw a lot of actually at Star Series when you and I were there, is the teams that had success on their T side against Na'Vi typically hit the B bomb side, and they were looking for kills on Zeus a lot. And luckily for Na'Vi, they bailed Zeus out of a lot of those occasions where he was, the opening pick in the finals. I think it was like 3 or 4 gun rounds in a row. They still ended up managing to win that half, shockingly. So if they can keep up stuff like that, they can obviously keep winning Mirage. But that's not a recipe for success.
Well, I mean, obviously NiP, legendary team, been around for a long time in CSGO, but also a long time in esports as well. They're used to success, Duncan.
Sure.
And whilst the move on from removing Freiburg and then removing Exist has changed their team, and they are now, regularly in the top 8 as far as previous results are concerned. You look back, actually, Summit 7th, 8th, not so good there, but Internal Extreme Masters World Championship 5-8, Marseille 5-8, second in ESL Pro League Online, and then obviously the horrible ESL Pro League finals for them, 13th to 16th. But outside of that, it seems to be like they're getting better, but that's just not acceptable for a team of NiP standard, is it?
It isn't, but that's also the problem that they put themselves in, because since they took so many years to make any roster moves and then to make seemingly the first ones, like they haven't necessarily made the hard ones yet. Like one day they are going to have to decide to let Get Right or Forest go. One of these players can't play forever. You can't just play for like 25 years. So the problem is, at the moment, they've shown no hints that they'll ever do that. And so if you're going to say, I just love these players too much, or we just love playing together, well, then what you're essentially saying is, I won't do everything it takes to win. So if you do that, listen, you can do it. Like Virtus.pro did it for a long time. You can be a really cool 4th best team, and you can sometimes have the occasional amazing run, but you won't be number 1, unfortunately. The teams that are number 1 are the teams that are willing to kind of make the tough sacrifices that make you a champion. So sometimes that means you like a guy, but he doesn't fit the game anymore.
All right, I would love to get Sean's thoughts as well, but you're going to have to hold on to those for a moment because I'm hearing that the game is ready to go live. So let's head back to our commentary team for series number 3.
Thank you, and we have mixed up the races here. We've got James and Dan now on the desk, and the other guys are done for the day. So how have you found China so far?
Well, jet lag, James. I think every single time I've come to Asia, I've always experienced the worst jet lag. So I'm struggling with my relationship with sleep at the moment. It's tumultuous. But otherwise, yeah, it's interesting. I've mostly spent time in the hotel. What about you?
We went out a little bit, saw the water sides and some Western restaurants than we expected. But I suppose it's
I saw Hooters.
Creature comforts. Yeah, we did see a Hooters. But indeed, it is going to be NiP versus Na'Vi coming up very shortly. Now, earlier you were saying that you expected a 2-0 for Na'Vi here.
Well, it's a difficult one. It's really hard to predict because obviously NiP have a new player in their midst. They've got Lecker in there, Draken, the Orpa that is explosive. The Orpa that's they sort of used to. I mean, he was a central piece in how they ran their strategies. Of course, having an explosive Orpa, like you have a certain spot that you create where you allow for him to make plays and create openings and so on in various setups that you have. And so obviously, having Letcro in there does change up the roles and dynamics a bit. But the one thing that you do know with this lineup is it's incredibly skilled. So I feel like they can absolutely take a map. I just want to favor the team that is a team. And Na'Vi, of course, recently have had some great results, and to do so, they had to run through an enormous amount of good teams to have those results. So I think Na'Vi are entering a better period.
I think for me, Ninjas in Pyjamas, they changed one player, but it's essentially 2 changes because obviously Draken is the AWP, so someone also needs the AWP. Eyes look at Forest, so his role will be more dynamic, although he was never shy of the AWP anyway. But obviously, there's probably going to be some role switching, especially for how they did allow Draken. They gave him a lot of freedom to be aggressive, but I think there was a lot of volatility and variance in their approach of him. So I think long-term, they will be more stable with a more experienced team now with Lecro in there. I think it's a good change, to be honest. Yeah. I think one of these teams will win 2-1 though. I think it'll be closer than a 2-0 here, but time will tell. So indeed, Ninjas in Pyjamas did just play this map. I think it will have served as a good warm-up for the team, and as again they have a new player in their stead, it's good just to. I mean, even though they didn't have much of an opponent in that match, if they had any kinks that you might see in an execute, X was supposed to do Y. Whether it caused a kill or not is not the point, but they can still perhaps sense something like that and improve that for this match. So Na'Vi will be starting on the CT side, as we can see. Get Right's got 2 flashes and a smoke grenade. The rest of his team got Kevlar.
So NiP, what is the decision for them? First of all, they have to make their way around the map. And I mean, this is something I've seen from NiP pretty much every single time versus their overpass of late. I haven't seen 100% of their overpass games, of course, but they do like to spread out a little bit at the beginning of the round and try to see if they can catch any CT aggression. And that's generally a smart approach, as you want to make sure that if the other team's up to something specific, that you can figure it out before it happens, so you don't get caught off guard before you run your play. So now they've figured out, okay, they're not doing anything fancy. They're grouping together. We're seeing a push towards the A-bomb side here for NiP. There's 3 players ready to receive it, though, from Na'Vi, so they're going to be able to put up a fight. That's a timely smoke grenade there from Zeus. That should help them out. Looking pretty good here, positionally from Na'Vi.
Simple has to do a lot, but he gets insta-traded. 2 versus 4 now for Na'Vi. Not looking great. Bomb's being planted. It is a pistol round, though, so it can be recovered. And that is the way to kick things off. Get Right, however, spots both players there, which means that NiP have time to reposition on the side. Oh, that's a very nice angle from Forrest. Not checked by Electronic because he's exposed to the sides at the same time. And that leaves Edward on his own. What will he choose to do now? I don't know if any of these CTs had a kit, so he may feel like this is the point of no return. And he may try to hold on to his Kevlar. Looks like he's willing to take some longer fights towards long, try and abuse the range of his USP, although now everyone's got a USP, so he won't have that either.
Yeah, and going back to the previous point about NiP with Lecro, I think that NiP would do really well to sort of look at Team Liquid's model, where you do have this team of hybrids, because effectively NiP are very much that now. You've got a lot of hybrid players. In Dennis, obviously he can do everything. Forrest can do everything. Rez is a great rifler, but he's very versatile. Like, I think there's a lot of similarities between how the individual of NiP could actually make the same sort of system work that Team Liquid have. So that's an interesting point. I think I would like to talk about that more later. But NiP are going to be up against the force buy of Na'Vi, so we'll see the scouts onto Simple. That should be quite fun. He's looking for a pick towards the long position, which is actually quite difficult with the scout for some reason. I don't know. For some reason, I always find those shots difficult, at least.
He was doing nasty things with the scouts earlier today, so he is warmed up as well. It's so refreshing, the movement speed you have with the scouts. So nice to run around and get some nasty flicks going. And perhaps this will serve as a good warm-up for Simple moving into the buy rounds in the AWP. Minute 10 on the clock, and NiP have cleared the connector area. If you're going to do that on a buy round versus a force buy, it's nice to have people on the high ground. They pretty much clear the high ground first, so people can collapse on anyone who is in there, should you choose to go there. As you can see how forward NiP are, they've done that. Cleared out Simple on the site. Flamey close quarters with the Deagle, and he will get 1 kill, but just the 1. 4 versus 2, not much else for Na'Vi to do here. I mean, for, well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, either both teams. That works. That works for both teams.
Yeah.
Effectively. So it's a really nice start here for NiP, and this is going to be quite interesting because effectively as well, you're looking at a situation where, Simple. Of course, you can't not talk about Simple when we're looking at what is the most game-changing or impactful scenario look like. It's going to for Na'Vi, it's going to always include Simple pretty much. So or Flamey, but Simple. He's the dedicated AWPer, and effectively, Na'Vi are not going to be having that AWP anytime soon. NiP will be able to keep that out of his hands for longer with a start like this. It's going to be curious to see exactly what Simple's choice is and how Na'Vi will decide to play around him when he is able to get that AWP in his hands on that first buy round. He has saved enough money so he can purchase that when the time has arrived. Nice little cheeky kill there in the end there from Edward, but this will be a full save from Na'Vi as they await better times, as they await the pickup of that AWP. But for the time being, they need to be the punching bag. For this round at least. They will be abused. Used and abused.
Nobody likes to, actually, some people probably do. NiP continuing with their 1 man towards B setup and the rest 3 people upper, and then 1 person keeping an eye on connector. This time there are more people there, but of course it is a USP round for the most part. Forrest trying to be careful not to overextend, but he is exposed. And now we've got people isolated. Dennis is down to 20 HP. There were weapons to be collected. Zeus finishing things off with the P250, which I think he picks up from Flamey. But now it's Simple alone, 1 versus 3. He hasn't got a gun just yet. He realizes there could be to his left, could be to his right. Trying to play the slow game. Dinks Lekra down to 3 HP. So 2 people killed is pretty good in that round for Na'Vi. They didn't have all the kills in the world in the round prior. And that is really important to do damage to that NiP economy for the rounds to come. Simple onto the AWP now. Everybody else on the M4s. Don't have all the grenades. So this may be a cause for aggression. Only 2 players have flashbangs. So I do wonder if we'll see some kind of aggression to make up for this from Na'Vi.
Yeah, and it's something where, you know, NiP are in a position where they can say, you know what, we know that you're going to have the AWP for the first round. We know that you're likely going to be playing it fairly safe. That's a pretty good bet. And one way to defuse that is by, oh my god, Lekro. Oh, he gets to think, almost gets the kill into Zeus as well. That is just disgusting stuff. Talk about a disappointing start to the first buy round for Na'Vi. Great pick from Lekro, and Zeus perhaps pushing his luck, trying to get the wallbang damage, but that lineup through the wooden panel towards the door, I think, is quite predictable and an easy one to practice if you're in NiP's position. Okay. Okay, they were trying to poke their heads in, and they got them promptly blown off. So that's going to go quite a ways here for Na'Vi to look to close down this round, but NiP still in with a chance. Rez will be able to equalize as he's forcing himself into the bomb site. NiP have to make this work.
But Dennis is now alone, and now he's gone. Smoked like a kipper. First buy round in the bag for Na'Vi. Losing 2 players is acceptable. Simple still with the sniper. And what does this mean for the money of Ninjas in Pajamas? You see, they are able to buy once again. We will wait to see if there are any shortcomings in their buy. They've got good grenades. Na'Vi have got better grenades, so they are in a better situation than they were in the previous round, Na'Vi, in terms of their own buy. Electronic with an AK as well as Flamey. Pretty good spot. You can see Dennis down to the deagle, so as is Forrest. So those kills in the previous round really came in handy. The kills on the USP round to make NiP a lot weaker. And when you are looking for your first buy round, oh god, Rez, looking for a typical jump. Swift punish. Simple down to 6 HP already, so he really needs to deliver something here. We see one of the T's jumping over the wall. Funnily enough, when this map first came out, Edward used to always jump there, but he never got punished for it. No coaches at the time were really paying attention. He did it every single round. It was a free kill. Maybe they'll punish NiP later on.
Yeah, this is potentially devastating if Na'Vi can't find a recovery. Their economy is not in a good place. Don't want to see the reset when you've only got $2,000, well, $3,000 across all of your plays. That's not a good look. And NiP are gearing up to attack this A bomb site, go on the full frontal assaults. And Simple with just 6 HP. It's so scary. Anything will kill him right now. He's going to have to be flawless as NiP decide to rush into the bomb site. Electronic with a good position. They line up. Oh my god! That is just so fortunate for Electronic, and he's going to finish it off with class and style. Wow, what a beautiful defense. Can't ask much more than that, just wiping out the entire team. That is a great way to start things off for Na'Vi.
That is the most compact ace I have seen in a very long time. He's a black hole on the A site. Oh my god, they all got absorbed. They just got absorbed.
Wow, that is very similar to the previous round. The same thing happened in the previous round. NiP, they create an opportunity where they have the advantage, and then something incredulous happens, and all of a sudden Na'Vi are able to commit them into a push and just smash them. So NiP aren't going to be feeling too happy about this so far. The stars are aligning for Na'Vi in the early stages of Overpass.
You do not see aces like that very often. Anomalous ace.
See you on...
Again?
Okay. I'll say see you on Reddit. Maybe Rez is going to have Electro rounds.
Are they going to condition Zeus to stop doing that jump? That's 2 rounds in a row where he's being picked off jumping like that.
Ooh, Rez maybe a bit too quick on the first shot there. unable to finish off the second player, but Edward offers himself up. It's a 5v3. They've only got 2 Deagles.
It almost looks like the aim punch sent the bullet into his opponent's head, because I think his crosshair was lower. Maybe we'll see a replay later. Rez looking for more, finally getting picked off, but 1 kill, not enough really for NiP, for Na'Vi in this situation. Simple repositioning. And now, maybe expecting NiP to try to use the numbers if they know where the AWP is, but are there 2 players towards? Oh dear, never mind. Last 2 players in the B bomb site, and Na'Vi 2 versus 4. I mean, do you save at this point? Their money is in the toilet.
Yeah. It's definitely not the best position, but if Simple can hold on to the AWP and Flamey the AK-47, then they should be okay. But Lekra is going on the hunt. Simple will defend. And I have to say, I was worried that NiP were in a position to overextend, because you commonly see that where they created the 5v3, and then you have a situation whereby Rez is sort of just poking his head out there in a position where he's, already kills have been made. And I think you have to say it at a certain point. I think when we saw just recently at the ECS finals, Team Liquid was so good at this. You have to understand when you've done enough from that perspective. You've got the kills that you're going to get. Trying to go for any more is pretty risky. Now it's time to withdraw and then use the numbers advantage and then push for some map control, which you can do more easily because now the CTs are more stretched positionally. So now you put pressure on where they're weak positionally. And Get Right, we saw, was able to be the guy that could find the way in, that could break the rounds by taking down Simple on the A side. But imagine if Simple wins that kill. NiP are kind of screwed then because they've got no way into a bomb site.
Oh, look, sparkly explosion. All right, then the buy's coming in for the CT side. We see the MP7 hanging from the chest. Simple with the AWP once again. Very important round for Na'Vi. Otherwise, they may be off to quite a horrific start to their CT side here on Overpass. NiP with pretty much maximum equipment. They'll be looking to stabilize after the shenanigans of Electronic, who is down to a CZ. Molotov from Get Right to stop the CTs from pushing short B. And Zeus, as you can see, his position has changed. Playing close with the UMP. No more jump peeking from him for the time being. Nice angle from Get Right, but no early damage. So once again, he's doing his usual lurk shenanigans. I think there are 2 players in Connector this time from NiP, and again, they know that the buy from Na'Vi won't be strong, so they're starting slow, looking for a push in the upper position.
See, Simple's really looking for a way to alleviate pressure for his team. He's moving around quite aggressively in the Suez position. NiP are moving towards A, though, and I think Simple has gained enough information for Na'Vi to understand where the bulk of their players are at this point of the round. I mean, that's part of the beauty of having that Suez position. It gives you so much information, and it also allows you to, you could leave Edward here. You could kind of treat this like sunroom on Cash, for example, and then try to cheat a player over towards A. They're still actually, okay, they're only just now doing that. So they will have 3 on A to defend. But if NiP's set piece here with the grenades is sufficient enough, then they should be able to get a forward plant facing the toilets and not even have to take the full site. So here they go.
Zeus, though, will be in front of the grenades with an off angle. Good for 1 kill, delaying the push as well. Oh, Simple just clicks off just as someone comes into his vision. Goes for the flick, no kill though. Get Right and Rez are in the red, but it's a 2 versus 4 versus an M4 and a CZ, and only Electronic is here with the pistol. So what can they do? Those smokes are fresh. It will take a while for them to go. No kit on these last 2 players. Surely Electronic wants to take more than Kevlar and a CZ out of this round with him. Edward trying to create space perhaps, or hold map control for a save, but he is being hunted by the likes of Dennis. And soon more perhaps. So indeed this is turned out to be a very, very rough start for the CT side of Na'Vi. How likely are they to lose these weapons now? There's the pistol. Edward not showing straight away. So he may be good to save the M4 here, but this is really bad for Na'Vi.
Yeah, I think in that round they were being somewhat punished by just letting NiP have too much of the run of the map, and that is kind of okay in some respects because they took sewers, and so they did have some map control themselves. But you have to take the next step there. If you have to be more proactive against a team like NiP, and the sewers really opens up the potential for you to flank their push. It opens up the potential for you to cheat more players over sooner and then use that to gain information and so on. And Na'Vi so far just playing a very basic fundamental style, which is completely fine. But so far, NiP are really showing some good consistency on opening up rounds on their T side. Let's not forget the 2 rounds that they lost. They created the advantage, and again, it was pretty insane how Na'Vi pulled those rounds back.
Edward took a lot of damage from the grenades. He gets 1 kill. Maybe the gun can be rescued. It's a useful finish off Lekro, but quickly traded by Forest. Keeping control of this area. Has he got the flicks for Simple, though? We know how talented a rifler he is, let alone a sniper. Will he hold his angle, or will he peek? He's holding the angle, but no Kevlar. Aim punch. Get right will finish things off. 2 plays lost for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but at this point, all eyes on the economy of Na'Vi. Edward picking up the rifle. There isn't money for the sniper unless Zeus buys it, but he would have no Kevlar, so there isn't money for the sniper, ultimately. Although it hasn't really had the impact just yet for Na'Vi, the AWP.
Yeah, it's we only really saw Simple go aggressive with York 1 round, and it was that round when he was really active towards the sewers, but just unfortunately NiP were really working the A side of the map, so we didn't get early round opportunities. And getting an AWP frag early round is very different to getting an AWP frag mid-round, usually speaking. So Simple really wants to try to find a way to force NiP into a bad spot, where they only have 4 players much earlier on, and that really changes how they'll call the situation. And this might be the spot for that, because they have a better read this time. They've got that forward setup. Electronic goes forwards there. The flashbangs that went off previously. Now Simple makes an appearance, but both Electronic and Simple traded out. That's a 4v3 for NiP. That's ideal for them.
Okay, bait set up from Na'Vi, but just too many plays in upper, as there has been pretty much every round here from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Able to deal with it after Simple doesn't get that kill. If he does, he probably falls back, and maybe Flamey is spared. Maybe not, but here we are. 3 versus 4 in favor of Ninjas in Pyjamas. Less than a minute on the clock, but of course they have many advantages. Sees Zeus on the M4, Flamey on the UMP. It's not a T side, so it can be position dependent. Flamey's playing close. Makes sense for him to have the UMP. 2 on 3. He's got some info for his teammate Zeus, but he might not have seen them moving downstairs on the def cam.
Very diligent stuff there from NiP as they exit the door, checking every nook and cranny. And in one of those crannies, they'll find Edward, and now he has been removed. Sent to the sin bin. 7-2. NiP looking imperious at the moment. This is really cool to see them just looking so confident, and they seem to be in a great flow at the moment. It doesn't really feel like Na'Vi are providing any resistance. It's much like NiP were playing against VG just earlier today on this map, which is really encouraging, especially the T side, which is hard.
We have seen a lot of attention to detail from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They have been meticulous. You saw all the off angles checked with a flashbang as they moved into the short B position. The usual areas where CTs might sit in the corner. A lot of people will be at a disadvantage when they jump out into the water, but they had the flash, they checked it. A lot of people might not check that properly. The grenades they've had early round have been doing colossal damage as well. You've seen double grenades on Edward and Connector. You saw them towards the position where CTs like to lurk behind the smoke around Party as well. So they're making it hard for Na'Vi to get into, or costly rather, to get into positions where they can get those close engagements or have these dirty angles. So every step Na'Vi are trying to make, NiP are like, we know that you might be here. And if you want to be here, it's going to cost you this much in your health. 7-2, pistols out for Na'Vi. We look at the anti-eco strat from Ninjas in Pyjamas again. 1 lurker towards B, a focus on the upper area, 1 player in Connector in Lekro, and as you can see on the radar, the Ts are taking the upper area first, and then they move to take Connector together. So again, the CTs choose to be there, they get pinched just like that.
NiP in these anti-force fire rounds, not really showing that they're all too afraid of going into the connector position, which is pretty scary, honestly. It's pretty high efficacy in that area for CZs. But NiP fear not, and they're going to clean this up really nicely. They've lost just a little bit of damage in the forest, but almost nothing else. And they haven't even used any utility, really. They've pretty much everyone's on almost full utility. It seems like only like 5 grenades have been spent from NiP so far. And now we'll have the remainder of Na'Vi just searching for what they can. But there's not too much to be found here. Get Right's waiting. And he's effectively blocking off both players, so there's not really too much they can do at this point. NiP looking to go to 8 rounds to the 2 of Na'Vi. They are having quite the difficult time.
Yeah, no, NiP are not giving them many gaps to play with. No breathing space. Edward can try to hold on to his Kevlar here, but try to steal a weapon as well. Not going to work out for him. Flamey has nothing to lose with only a Deagle. So much to gain from picking up a weapon. It's a no-brainer for him, but he is being waited for. Headshot no less. Forest will have the AWP for now, as will Simple. Coming in. Bought a helmet as well. As has Use, although he's got 4 grenades. That's interesting. I wonder why Simple opted for the helmet, because on many maps on the CT side, a secondary role of a sniper player, depending on your setup, is flashing for teammates as well. But he won't have any grenades. But Simple with AWP no grenades, not the worst thing in the world because of how much talent he has. Looking for the early peaks. He's only scoped in once because obviously people can come down the stairs as well, even if you smoke it. So if he scoped in twice, it would obscure his vision of that area.
And with a different angle here towards the door position. And again, you know, NiP have been showing a lot of bias, a lot of presence, a lot of favor towards the connector area. So it doesn't really, what was that, James? Oh no! Oh my goodness, that is the absolute worst possible thing that could have happened. You've got Na'Vi trying to make a counterplay as to what NiP have been doing repeatedly towards the door, and Get Right just walks in, is like, hello, I'll take that, thank you very much. Almost gets the 3rd player as well. And considering that there's 4 members of NiP left alive, this is, again, another disaster for Na'Vi.
That's a demoralizing thing to be on the receiving end of. Get Right chooses to activate at the absolute perfect moment, but the bomb carry is being picked off. Electronic not choosing to try and continue to fight there. He knows it's going to be picked up. Now Ninjas in Pyjamas have to ask the question, are these CTs rotating towards the B-bomb site? Lekra has a very good angle, so even if they were, they're very limited in how far they can go with that. And now NiP, again, being meticulous, will clean out the rest of the area. Both Na'Vi players on the flank. Although with Zeus on 22 HP picking up the AWP, it seems they will be trying to hold on to this, perhaps? They don't have a kit. No, it seems they're just going the long way. So all the way through Monster, but now you haven't found anyone. I suppose this is just an aggressive hold to save these weapons. So again, NiP, I mean, that's even if you get wiped out, at this point we have to consider that, although there is definitely still play to be had. But even if you get wiped out in the first map, that's such a demoralizing situation that you do wonder what psyche they have going into map number 2 if they are to lose this.
Yeah, I mean, even from the very beginning, we saw that Simple wasn't really connecting some of his AWP shots, and again, like, you know, a Star Series, for example, when NiP has such a great run, I mean, we always know that it does really require Simple to be having a good tournament, and he's usually eerily consistent, but at the same time, here we've not just seen it just yet, and one of the things about that is just that in one of the rounds in which, in the early stages when he first picked up the AWP, NiP were just not going to where Simple was early on, so it sort of just has all worked out in their favor, and Simple hasn't really had enough play, I think, to really get himself into some level of momentum. So, as you say, lots of play left, but
Zeus has died again in the first 10, 15 seconds of the round. I didn't see where he was on the map, unfortunately. But yeah, he's gone again. He gone. So another early 4 versus 5 for Na'Vi to deal with, which just obviously compounds the problems. Some nice flashbangs there in case of the aggressive positions. Again, that's an example of the attention to detail from NiP. You don't see those kind of flashbangs from every team on Overpass. So Ninjas in Pyjamas really leaving nothing to chance at the moment. I mean, with it being 9-2, all we're really seeing here is just meticulous map control and taking of map control by Ninjas in Pajamas.
I think there's a lot of really cool stuff with NiP that if you look at their history, I think there's a lot of in a lot of the moments when things weren't working out for them, I think they did they learned a lot that they weren't just able to use it to full effect. Like, for example, all of the days when they had threat and so on, they knew that they were tactically a strong team, but it sometimes seemed like everything was a bit misplaced strategically at the same time. But right now we're seeing a good marriage of strategy, tactics, and individual play. Great response there as they trade their way back up into the A-bomb site. Maybe with the UMP will slow the effort, creating some level of resistance, but NiP seem to be overwhelming them at the moment. Edward, the last man standing, needs a 1v3 to go his way to make it happen. Oh, almost gets a chance at it. 1v1s back to back, but the last one, he falls at that hurdle thanks to Get Right, and that's 10 rounds in the bag for NiP, and Na'Vi still on a mid 2.
Yeah, it's almost misleading that they got that far. You saw Simple just taking pot shots through the toilet door. Just guesswork from Na'Vi at that point. They have another buy in this round, and now the question becomes, well, can they have a 5-on-5 after 30 seconds have elapsed? Because even that's been a problem in many of these rounds. Electronic on the FAMAS, used on the UMP at this point. A quick take of the connector position from Lecro. Will you have any fear moving forward? And no, it's Edward to go down again, losing a player. There's a minute 38 on the clock, and it's a 4 versus 5 again for Na'Vi.
Oh dear, as you say, just having that be repeatedly an issue is pretty rough. Again, the weaponry is not amazing, so you would like to see them take some risks, but the kind of ways in which NiP are opening up on them is sort of, it feels as though it's on NiP's terms as opposed to Na'Vi's terms most of the time, so definitely not ideal. Some information for Electronic, though. I wonder if NiP, I don't think NiP have heard the boost or anything like that. There was definitely a lot of flashbangs just recently whilst Na'Vi were performing the boost, and they're certainly going to hear that. But, oh, they have a counter boost set up there. Forrest was watching for that. You can see his angle is very deep, which was designed to see the heads poking over the wooden board, the plank. And that's going to cue NiP to go into the bomb site.
Late smoke in the back of Monster, way too late. The bomb's on the floor, though. 2 versus 3. Zeus needs multiple. There's 2. And now he's alone. Can't get his reload in time. Get Right will trade. The amount of NiP players lost is at this point inconsequential. It's 11-2.
Yeah, it seems like NiP are having a really nice game at the moment, really in a flow, and Na'Vi perhaps suffering from jet lag or something. They are looking a little bit sleepy here so far today in this game against NiP at the very least. And once again, all the money will be spent. We are going into the final rounds of the first half, and it could be maybe the final rounds of the game if Na'Vi are not too careful. NiP looking very strong to have a situation where maybe they even get 13-2. That would be quite interesting.
Slight difference from Ninjas in Pajamas this time. No flash on the corner. 2 players towards B. So a different approach. Continuing to be unpredictable. We'll have to see if Electronic can take someone by surprise here. Again, considering Na'Vi only have 2 rounds, one of the rounds was an unlikely ace where 3 people lined up for Electronic. That's what it required for them to get half of the rounds that they have. So quite telling of the current situation here. And Electronic's lurk has not paid off on this occasion. Is Zeus good for a second one, though? He is. Well, Edward will steal the kill through the hole in the door. Now Dennis is moving up, and risks will be taken, and maybe it will be a 3rd round for Na'Vi.
Yeah, looking fantastic. Forrest's position is pretty awesome, but if only he had the bomb, although he is about to be surrounded. Let's see how he handles it. He's using the bank position to fall back, and he hears all the noise here, so he's going to have that advantage. So clean, so fast from Forrest, not showing his age at all. That's one thing we love about Forrest. But he will be backstabbed. He'll be ended by Simple. It was a nice little effort at the end there to get some more stats on the scoreboard, but it will be round number 3 for Na'Vi. And then NiP looking to deny them the 4th one, perhaps. I'm curious if Na'Vi will get aggressive in this round, or how they feel most confident to handle it. again, as you say, whenever Zeus is not just dying in the first 10 seconds, that seems to be already a plus.
Let's see what can happen this time. Forest charging through the molly. Damage could have been worse. So again, he's going to be a point man. The rest of the team making sure there's no push from long. Electronic simply looking for information. Tidally escapes. But that's a read for Ninjas in Pajamas as well. Now they have to try and figure out what Na'Vi are doing. Indeed, no one has died early in this round. Edward enjoying possession of short B for the time being. With the angle he's holding, he should have better warning of flashbangs coming over the wall, as opposed to being in the deep corner where you can see people moving into Monster through the short B tunnel. Electronic getting sneaky. Not the hill he wants to die on. He won't pursue that kill, but the Molotov keeps him in place.
Flashbang there. Oh my god, denied. Denied by Dennis. Now Simple alone with the AK-47, the perfect tool for the job. Let's see what he can get done here. NiP will definitely be suspicious of this. And there it is. Lekro just walks around the corner casually and slaps him in the face.
That leaves Flamey and Edwards. Edward with the AK coming in from the rear. Good positions for Ninjas in Pajamas. You can see Get Right lining things up as the smoke dissipates. We'll see how he approaches the left-hand side. He repositions accordingly. Flamey's been smoked off. Now Edwards' position has been conceded, and he must know someone's got to be looking for a connector player. He was maybe half a centimeter away from seeing that position, but now it's Flamey on the site, 1 versus 2. He has a defuse kit, so he can do this. Nade goes in the wrong place, and that bomb is very far ticked, and Rez knows his risk is limited. Pops out, and that's 12-3 in favor of Ninjas in Pajamas. A good average of kills across the Swedish side. Not much we can say, really, about Na'Vi.
Yeah, it's actually kind of insane if you look at just like NiP's form at the moment individually is so strong. I mean, when Rez joined the team, we had Malmo where he did we saw really his true potential, why he was picked up onto the team and he was the MVP and an incredible rifler, and he's been doing very well since then. Forest has always been doing really well, even in the sort of downswing period of NiP. Get Rice definitely improved. Dennis obviously is a beast, and he always has been. And now you've got Lekro, who is incredible as well, and very well-rounded as a player. So, oh, that's just dirty, isn't it? Cheeky USB bullet straight through the smoke, finds the head of Electronic, and Zeus might be able to remedy this. And he gets one, though. Rez will control his fights very, very well. And NiP looking pretty strong here.
Yeah, that was a quick one. Not much answer to the kills from Ninjas in Pajamas by Na'Vi, and that is worst case, well, not worst case scenario because they planted a bomb at the very least, but it's pretty bad. They may even choose to go for a surprise force because the score is so bad. Do you want to play 3-14?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think you go for the force buy. If you're a team like Na'Vi, you've been around and been together long enough, they should absolutely have rounds for this case where you're behind a lot. Just as your argument was, you have a force buy round that looks really good if you've lost the pistol but planted the bomb. They do choose to wait one round though and play effectively, from the 3-14 position and just really pray that the first AK buy works out. We'll see how that goes for them, because here they can't really get anything done. They've just got Glocks.
Yeah, I don't think either choice is wrong per se. It's just because whether it's 14 or 13, it's still a hell of a long way back.
Yeah.
They've chosen to start with the AKs. They're not far away. Get Right. Ooh, that's so much money. And if he's playing around Connector, he can just continue with this weapon for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, if Oscar serves any inspiration, then I think we might see a lot more people using shotguns just generally. I think to some extent, I think a lot of people, like Oscar was the right person to show people that some of these guns are more viable, because I think to a lot of people, like if you played with someone in a professional match and they're buying shotguns on your team, you're probably going to feel like they're not trying, or they're throwing away rounds or something like that. But Oscar's showing people that there's lots of spots where it's really viable.
Yeah, before Oscar though, don't forget Fer used to hold ramp on Mirage with an auto shotgun, and sometimes even mid on Cash for people who are boosted. So he's my shotgun hero. That's why I gave him an actual shotgun shell keycap, because of his ridiculous, outlandish plays. Na'Vi with the first pick, and maybe now they can enjoy the AKs over the M4s, and we're not seeing the full buy from NiP just yet, but there is significant advantage to be had, especially when you've got the like Simple on your team. Get right, not making a fatal connection with the first shot. The also shotgun, was improved, has a tighter spread of shells, which is pretty good. It was very unreliable before. Lecro and Forest remain. Got to get some kills here, boys.
Yep, life is not looking too good for NiP, but it's not a throwaway round, but it's definitely sort of the bonus round where you keep the SMGs and so on and so forth. That said, there's two different types of that. It would be a bit different if they had an extra round to make money, because let's say, in a world where Na'Vi doesn't get the bomb plant, so they only got one round to build money. Of course, they did survive with everyone, and as you mentioned, Get Right did get a couple frags with the shotgun, so they're going to have enough to buy next round, but it is still pretty key that Lecro holds onto this AK-47, and I don't know if Na'Vi really cared to hunt him too much. One thing about that, though, is that Na'Vi, okay, you want to have enough money to buy next round, but they are not going to be in a position where they care too much about their own economy, because if they lose one round, they only need to have one more buy in the bag anyway, because that's it after that. So that means there's a lot of spots where they can try to prioritize just getting the damage in, as long as they never give up having a spare buy round. Lecro, they will take down Electronic, and there is one more player, one more test to be had in the running. I wonder if that was hurt, though. The bomb did go off. There's a train going on as well, so that might conceal some of the footsteps. And indeed, Flamey gets the kill. So very nicely done by Flamey, and that will deny the AK-47 and absolutely weaken the buy here for NiP. And let's see what they can muster.
The ambient volume was finally adjusted, so the train is not so offensively loud anymore, which is great. It's amazing it took so long, but we got there in the end, boys. It's funny, the changes they made to the CZ, but maybe we'll have time to talk about that later. So it's Na'Vi's turn to, they're going to have 3 people making their way towards short B very quickly, Na'Vi. So a stark difference to the approach from Ninjas in Pyjamas. We might be seeing a fast round here, and Electronic getting the first pick. Now, Lecro will know that he's headshot that player, so they may look for revenge, but it's useful to take his position.
Yeah, the pick there from short B into the B bomb side is really favorable for the Ts, just because of the headshot, like the first bullet advantage, and sometimes the headshot angles that you can get. And how you're often just going to be up against the one player. That's why you see so many teams try to get a player to peek that position, because you can get that 1v1 as the Ts. And if you win the fight and get the 5v4, you have this situation where you see NiP, they're playing it in a really cool way, where they're saying, you know what, it's going to be way too uncertain, way too difficult, the risk is way too high, that we would, to try and retake the bomb site. So we'll just hold on to these 4 guns. And if you guys want to overextend and make the mistake to overextend and maybe run into our really tight setup towards the other side of the map and give us AK-47s and lose money in the process, then go for it.
Dirty angle from Get Right. They were huddled at the top of Connector, but no kills for him. So far, Na'Vi doing a good job of wiping out this CT economy and pretty much putting them on eco. Very good job from Na'Vi. So here comes the climb. 1 hand at a time. 9 rounds behind. So instead of 4 people saving, 1 person will save. The money is annihilated for Ninjas in Pyjamas. I do wonder if Na'Vi will continue with 5 AKs. Maybe they'll pick up an opportunist sniper rifle if they see one later on, once NiP's buy comes back in. Is there a gun on the floor for Zeus? Yes, there is. So it's the 5 AKs, anti-eco territory, although they have that M4 on Dennis. They need to find the location of that, Na'Vi. Jumping grenade goes deep. Get Right's been picked off. That'll kick things off. Ooh, Edward gets his Barong immediately. He cannot overextend now. He does have teammates with him, though, not lurking on his own. So if he does drop, the AK is unlikely to fall into the hands of these CT players.
And we see a pretty easy one for Na'Vi. They can gain some confidence. I say that, it's not over just yet, but there you go. Just as I say that, instantly there's 3 kills.
Of course.
So, fantastic. Na'Vi with 6 rounds. NiP can buy the rifles. I don't think they can afford an AWP, though, so we won't see that just yet. But, again, one of the cool things about NiP is I do think there are some similarities with how they can play the game similarly to Liquid. Be a team of all-rounders, be a team of hybrid players. And so with 5 rifles, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do on the CT side. It'd be really cool to see more aggression towards the B side of the map. It's something that NiP are good at. And Na'Vi, they're going to look to open up things towards A and Connector first. They have a pretty good spread of map control. I like that NiP are trying to control the Suez position at the moment. Ooh, nice trade there from Flame. Very important, but Get Right is there, waiting and ready. The setup was good for NiP. 4v3 for them.
Much better start than the average CT start we saw in the first half for Na'Vi. Edward trying to get something done. Rez was lurking around here earlier while the smoke was up. There is simple. The bomb spotted in Connector. But Na'Vi have personnel towards A and towards B, so it's not quite clear what's going on just yet for NiP. But they have a player starting to move down long. They're looking for that information, this CT side. 2 players in the B bomb site, and Rez will be the one to take the risks.
And this is really, really good. You need somebody that can step up to do this, get some information. And it's really cool because if he dies, then his teammates can try to save on the B bomb site. That's an option. But if he is successful, maybe there's a chance for them to actually make this round work. Rez will go down, but he's got the information of both players. He heard the running of Simple. He saw with his own eyes the other player Zeus up A long, and NiP will go for a split. So Lekro just created some noise there, some distraction. Na'Vi only have 2 players. So there is great potential for this split to do some damage. Although Get Right's been discovered. Oh, he gets the engagement he wants. And now it's down to Simple, the 1v2, but he'll fall. Thanks to Lekro.
AKs to be collected. He may want to hold on to for that defuse, or maybe Get Right will drop him a weapon. That was really interesting because when was it Rez who was on long? Whoever was on long, they went into the toilets just as Zeus came out the beginning of long to see if anybody was there. So he missed him by about half a second. If he sees him, then maybe Na'Vi win that round. Such is life. It is a game point instead for Ninjas in Pyjamas. There is a buy. Great buy here for Na'Vi. Double AWPs on the T side. Very different approach. Double AWPs, always an instant question mark for me on the T side. We'll see what they can do. Flamey spotted now towards the monster position. Simple in Connector. But if you don't get these initial picks, then I feel like it can handicap a team who look too long for openings. And if they don't come, then they soon find themselves running out of time, having to push into a site with these sniper rifles, and that's never going to be ideal.
Yeah, the only counter argument to that is the fact that it is Simple. So he's one of the ops. So it's we know that he's very, very good aggressively with it. So they have that going for them at least. And they are just making the creep up towards the A side here using long and toilet side of the map, but they have to break the position of Dennis and Rez. And Dennis will take the attention. Rez goes in for the follow-ups, and he will be fantastic for it. He can't upgrade the gun, but he's done his job. He's taking down 2 players for the price of 1. Get Right gets another one, and they were not suspecting that 3-man setup ready to go in the toilet position. Now Simple is in a 1v4 to save the map for his team. There's frag number 1, but he's got a hell of a long way to go.
36 seconds. He does not have all the time in the world, and Lekro is picking a nasty spot. He's fired some bullets, though, and that's enough information for Simple. Even time for a spray. Rotation now. Leo's going to be on the B bomb site, but he doesn't know that. He needs to get the bomb down before they start to move into position. Going for the fake. Forrest is moving on the low ground. That wall bang was almost on point. Get Right with the flank. Simple knows he's out of time. Can he find the first player? He was close. He made the best of it he could, but that will be the first map going to Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, very impressive stuff from them. I mean, it's really that T side that just looks so strong, set them up for the victory. And you can see they're chuffed to bits. And, I mean, again, it was a really cool performance. And to start off a series like that, especially against a team like Na'Vi, who are definitely one of the teams who are looking to be perhaps taking the title, maybe, considering their recent results, that's a great way to start, especially, with Lekra on board. I mean, you can't have more confidence than that. So really, really fun to watch them in such a comfortable space.
Yeah, nice to see that Peter made it after his dog wrecked his passport as
yeah.
well. We will be heading to break. After the break, it will be Mirage between Na'Vi and Ninjas in Pajamas.